To foster responsible internet usage, government in 2011 enacted the Computer Misuse Act, which ensures safety and security of electronic and information services, thereby also stipulating crimes when internet usage is abused.
I think the government has made a lot of strides in this. Through organizations like NITA, UCC, and of course the broader Minister of ICT, they've put up policies of internet use, fair use, abuse. Those policies have been in place. Now, it's a question of how do we implement these policies effectively.
Despite slow internet penetration of 1% since 2015, telecom companies that sell internet data, banks, ride-hailing application services, online shopping platforms, hotel and airport booking businesses and small-scale businesses, traders that rely on internet altogether counted losses worth billions in the 5 days period.
We use Instagram mostly to advertise our things. We use WhatsApp, and that is how WhatsApp is it is what we use to communicate. So I was really affected. There's no I can communicate with my clients.
I trust that government is doing what it needs to do to protect the citizens. Now, some of these decisions have unintended consequences, right? So sometimes protecting human beings and their properties can come at a cost to business and to the economy, and the question is, where is the trade-off? My advice, however, would be to the government is to add some sort of transparency to these decisions.
Government recognizes information communication technologies like the internet as important drivers of socio-economic transformation. However, the business community prefers that they are forewarned for such a just cause in order to reduce the amount of losses incurred. Wadulo Makanold, UBC News, in Kampala. The business community in Entebbe municipality has been hit hard by the low turn-up of customers in the recent days. They attribute the wars to the post-election violence scare, heavy deployment on the streets, and the COVID-19 pandemic restrictions.
Small and medium enterprises in Entebbe municipality are facing tough times in post-election era, a situation already worsened by the COVID-19 pandemic.
Our businesses are too low nowadays since we are targeting tourists. Like some good years back, the business was going on well. We came in with COVID, things started to fall down a little bit. Then we were hoping for something good after COVID, but still it's not finishing, as we are all on waiting.
Closing of the bars, beaches and the Entebbe Referral Hospital has seriously affected us. Sometimes we were getting customers from different places, but right now, that is not happening.
In the age of digital payments and marketing, internet is a vital tool. The 5-day total internet shutdown in the country and the ongoing social media cutoff continues to disrupt the businesses.
That is the worst we ever faced, the lockdown of social media, because I have customers, we deal on WhatsApp, we deal on Facebook, you call them up, give them pics of what is there. So all those days when social media was shut, we lost a lot. We lost business. We lost a lot, yeah.
And you're still losing?
And we are still losing. We are still losing.
The 24-hour patrols by the security operators are also an issue of concern to the business community.
Business is very slow, very, very slow compared to that time before the election. Actually, towards elections and during the time of election, we didn't even work. Then after, you realize people are having fears. People have kept their monies, they're uncertain of what may happen.
Other people are scared because of this security which is moving around. After every hour they are passing, after every 30 minutes they are passing. So we are in fear. We don't know what will come next.
However, Brigadier Felix Kulaije, the UPDF Member of Parliament, urges the public to be appreciative of the current deployment rather than condemn.
Deployments are made according to perceived and real threats that you are seeing. And therefore, for me, I believe as long as there is a threat to security of person and property, there will be deployments. What's the essence? The essence is that every citizen should have the confidence to walk freely, to drive freely in their country, not fearing that somebody is going to grab what I have. So the deployments, I can't determine the end on this day. As long as there is no threat, we shall be off the streets.
Dennis Sigoa and Robin Yoso for UBC News in Entebbe.
In his recent address to the nation, the President-elect Yoweri Kaguta Museveni suggested to local government policy implementers to stop taxing daily and weekly taxes for roadside hawkers of public markets, selling nyamachoma, gonja, beverages and others. Now we travel to Najembe roadside market in Mabira Forest to get to understand a little more about operations of roadside hawkers and what the President's directive means to them.
But don't tax Muchomo day to day, I don't know, month to month, leave Muchomo alone. The ones who roast meat on the roadside, the ones who roast gonja.
57 kilometers away from Kampala towards eastern Uganda into Mabira Forest, we visit Najembe Market, where for more than 3 decades, it has grown to host hawkers selling nyamachoma, snacks, food and beverages to road travelers. We sought to find out whether paying annual trading licenses to the local government, as suggested by the President, was a preferred option compared to the daily, weekly or monthly taxes.
We
would have been more profitable, but our hawkers earn little. We even don't have a parking. Truly, for the number of hawkers we have here, earning only 4,000 shillings a day, how much should they pay as tax?
Our hawkers of this market pay a monthly tax of 1,000 shillings only, which is used to cater for things like security, electricity bills and general cleaning.
Local government has been faulted for not providing necessary aid to the market. The leadership at Najembe proposed that public markets management should be left to them.
Twandibadde tusaba government nga yo bwebevuddeyo nti yagala otwala obutale si kirungi kutwala butale kubanga
we don't advise government to take up management of public markets because we are capable enough to manage its affairs. Accountability is easier with our own policies, so I don't think local government is up for the task.
So, government we yatuta obuvunanyizibwa sikakasa nti yinza okola ebintu ebyo byonna.
But if we manage the market ourselves, budgeting and planning becomes easy.
On average, the hawkers at Najembe Market, the youth and the elderly, earn a tenth of their sales, a sum that can barely cater to all their livelihood needs.
We are trying to forge our way forward. In fact, we ought not to pay taxes to local government because we hardly benefit from it.
We thought a tax of 2,000 shillings per vendor would do, but after examining their earnings and finding them low, we brought it down to 1,000 shillings.
Local government's aid does not reflect to the people's livelihoods. We could have paid the local government tax because it is justified, but our earnings are really low.
The hawkers and traders at Najembe Market suggest that, yes, this would be a good idea to have annual licenses. However, local government service delivery still remains a challenge and to a greater extent leaves them out without helping them, even when it comes to a year of accountability. So they prefer having themselves manage their own taxes. Reporting for UBC News, Wadulo Mark Arnold in Buyikwa District.
Asha Wilson-Owere, the Chairman General of the National Organization of Trade Unions and Workers' Member of Parliament aspirant for the 2021 general elections, has raised concerns about the manner in which the recent Workers' MPs election was conducted. In an exclusive with the Business Roundup team, Owere says that the election was not free and fair and was marred with corruption.
And I've been aspiring for Workers' Member of Parliament. And yesterday we held an election which was thought would actually bring workers hope of liberation and also try to make the workers feel that they have representation, especially the workers who are in factories, who are in workplaces and so on, because they send delegates from the unions. Yes. But the whole exercise was marred with a lot of bribery. You find that some candidates, most of the candidates had a lot of money. Now, the vote stands into commercial, where somebody tells a delegate, first of all, they get the delegates, accommodate them, hide them in hotels. They only go at a voting place in the morning. So if you don't have all the mechanism of looking at them, rounding them up, trying to find where they stay, it's very difficult. Imagine candidates hiring for 2 days, where they eat and everything. Not only that, they go ahead and one candidate was actually giving 1 million first to a delegate. They say, you vote for me alone, and then I will give you 1 million.
Upon confirmation that you voted for me.
Upon confirmation, then you come back for 500,000. So that means he has bought a vote at 1.5 million shillings. Others were even giving 5 million. Now you ask yourself, what type of election is this? Are these people,
how many delegates were there in total?
The delegates were 500.
Yes.
Now 500, 460 were from the trade unions.
Yes.
Now, then they are the ones, there are 40 that come, the delegates who came from the regions.
Yes.
That is the non-unionized. Now, these non-unionized were selected from Eastern, Western, Central, and Northern. Now, all these delegates converged in Kibuli. We only had a one-day campaign where they give you 5 minutes.
To convince
the delegates.
Yes.
Now, in that, there are people heckling, there are people blowing vuvuzelas. So nobody.
So that 5 minutes might end up. It might actually the 5 minutes might.
It's not even enough to introduce yourself, even to articulate your issues, even to tell the workers.
And even sell your agenda.
The agenda. Now another thing in selecting delegates, you find that the general secretaries hold delegates. So if anything happens, their delegates are controlled.
Yes.
So the ordinary worker does not have that leverage of choosing the person they prefer. So this is where now the issue comes out. But entirely, the whole process was marred by bribery, by intrigue, because somebody zeroed on Owere and says Owere must not go through. If you don't vote me, I'm giving you 1 million not to vote him.
Yes.
So you find that the whole exercise was targeting individuals.
Individuals,
Now, you know that incumbents, they have money.
Oh yeah, sure.
They have a lot of money. You cannot match with them.
They are liquid.
They are liquid.
Yes.
So the whole thing is about money.
Yes.
But what we need now to do, first of all, is to educate the workers. And in future, the workers themselves must get involved Like this issue of when they solve the issue of getting just few people to go and make a decision for others.
Yes.
Let the workers, all the workers, make a decision for who is going to represent them. This is really serious, and the good thing now I have the 70 behind me.
Yes.
And the 70 are enough to cause change in this kind of vice.
So maybe I know you've been the chairman general for a couple of years. I don't know how many years so far. So the question will be, what makes you think that you are the right candidate to represent the workers in the 11th Parliament?
First of all, I've achieved a lot in the line of workers' issue. By the time I came in, there was no unity among the workers. I bridged that gap, where now we have one electoral college and we can now speak as a team. Secondly, there was no right fora where workers' issue could be addressed, especially in terms of law. But I fought for industrial court, which was restored. It's now in place. There was a lot of scandal in the NSSF, which we addressed. And now you see the management changed. The scandals were reduced almost to lower percentage.
And there's also a lot of innovation.
There's a lot of innovation. Even the savings rose from a mere 2 trillion now to about 14 trillion. Not only that, there's a law which we are amending to ensure that the workers actually benefit out of their savings, and that is very critical.
In our corporate news, MasterCard, a global online financial transaction service provider, has partnered with Airtel Money to enable over 12 million Ugandans transact online. Now, this innovation is founded on Bank of Uganda's national payments policy framework that governs the use of electronic financial services. Let's take a look.
The virtual Airtel Money MasterCard allows non-bankable Ugandans access global goods and services markets efficiently at a cost of only 1,000 shillings per transaction.
So the Airtel Money MasterCard is linked to the Airtel Money wallet of the Airtel Money customer, meaning that your Airtel Money balance is the balance of your MasterCard or the amount to which you can pay online.
According to the Financial Inclusion Insights, nearly 46% of Ugandans have financial services accounts, with mobile money leading the way to financial inclusion, as more than 4 in 10 adults, accounting for 43%, have mobile money accounts.
Bank of Uganda is fully committed to supporting initiatives and products aimed at broadening not just the access, but the relevance of and affordability of the financial services being extended to those underserved segments of society.
So basically we are targeting the entire online community, people that are buying shoes and dresses online, by enabling them to be able to make online payments without the need for a bank account. It can now be done as long as you have an Airtel Money account.
Through this service, one can now trade on Amazon, boost social media posts on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram, buy or sell internet domains, and artists can now sell their work online and get payments directly to their mobile money.
So I wouldn't say that banks will be affected or taken out of business by innovations like these. I think that there is a huge portion of our population that can or is not reached by the banks with the traditional banking models. Products like the Airtel Money MasterCard support to get services that were traditionally bank-led and make these services available to a wider range of the community.
However, since May 2020, Government of Uganda through the Central Bank is undertaking the National Payment Systems Act, which among other objectives aims to counter cybersecurity and money laundering tendencies that are usually facilitated by electronic payment innovations. Wadulo Makanold for UBC News.
South Sudan and Sudan have reached a deal to increase oil production from the current 170,000 barrels per day to 300,000 barrels per day within the next 3 years from 2021. Awao Daniel Chuang, South Sudan's Undersecretary to the Ministry of Petroleum, says that they aim to increase production in the northern oil fields of the youngest nation, which were disrupted by more than 6 years of conflict.
Oil money funds more than 98% of South Sudan's government budget. However, oil production and revenue have fallen since 2013. Civil war from 2013 to 2018 destroyed some oil facilities. Petroleum production plummeted from around about 320,000 barrels a day to the current 180,000 barrels a day, according to the Petroleum Ministry. An increase in production will mean more use of oil infrastructure in Sudan, which requires cooperation from Khartoum.
We have agreed that Sudan will have a coordination office in Juba. The ministry will have a coordination office in Juba. We have a coordination office here in Khartoum, and we will also have in Port Sudan, where we receive our goods most of the time. This coordination office are meant to ease communication between the two countries, between the two ministries, and is also meant to ease the operation in the oil fields.
Sudan's new government is still experiencing communal violence in parts of the country. Extra security measures have been put in place. Juba says some of those security measures delay the arrival of vital supplies required in the oil fields. Khartoum is promising to address the situation.
We have directed our taxation officials, security operatives and state governments to prioritize clearing of goods meant for oil fields. This is one way to ensure we increase production.
Investors in South Sudan's oil sector include national oil companies from Malaysia, India and China. Some experts warn that increasing oil production without transparency and accountability in the sector will not benefit many South Sudanese people, but the government insists it wants to increase production, generate more revenue, then invest in infrastructure such as roads and develop the country's agriculture sector.
For those who have lost jobs, at times I've been encouraging people to try to take on short-term contracts. If you've noticed, most of the jobs now will be, if you've noticed, they'll ask for a person and say, we want you to work for 5 days remotely. So you do some sales, some marketing, and then you're done.
Uganda Breweries Limited is marking 75 years of doing business in Uganda. One of the leading alcoholic beverages manufacturers in the country prides in quality of its products, consistency and innovation. UBL's beer production plant in Luzira, Kampala features tonight in our Sounds of Business. business and economies thrive in a peaceful environment. Uganda is our motherland, and as citizens, we have a duty to enhance peaceful coexistence for the good of our country. Thank you for being a part of this weekly Business Roundup episode. We're coming to you from the Kampala Serena Hotel. My name is Wadulo Mark Arnold, and from the team, I must say goodbye.
You may have heard of physical distancing. This means keeping at least 2 arms length apart from other people at all times to reduce the spread of coronavirus. But why is it so important? Without physical distancing, each person infected with coronavirus will infect 2 to 3 others. Each of these people go on to infect 2 to 3 more, who each go on to infect another 2 or 3 people, and so on. Within a month, the infection will spread from 1 to 406 people. But if each person halves the number of people they come into close contact with, the number of infections drops dramatically. Each person would only infect 1 or sometimes 2 people, and each of those infected people would only infect 1 or occasionally 2 more. So the disease spreads much more slowly. In a month, the infection would only spread from 1 to 15 people. That's the power of physical distancing. Keep at least 2 arms length distance from as many people as you can to reduce infections and save lives. That way you'll protect yourself, the people you love, and your country.
This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Health.
We can't tolerate sexual harassment.
Sexual harassment is unacceptable in our school.
Because a good school equals a better life.
Raising voices.
Shopping needs, come to Capital Shoppers. We have a variety of items like foods, garments, cosmetics, and all sorts of drinks. Enjoy your shopping experience at affordable prices in our fully stocked branches in the following areas: Ntinda Station Road, opposite Makere Business School along Port Bell Road, Duster Street opposite Nakasero Market, and Garden City on Yusuf Lule Road. To all our customers and suppliers, we thank you for your continuous support. Stay safe, wash your hands, sanitize, and wear your mask always.
Notice peanut butter. Enjoy the real taste of Notice natural peanut butter that spreads happiness to the whole family. Available in smooth, crunchy, and chocolate nut variants. Pick a size that fits your pocket from 125 grams, 250 grams, 400 grams, and 800 grams. Notice peanut butter, the real peanut butter. Available in all leading supermarkets.
Hello, how are you? Tell me, how do you do? We're here to show some appreciation for the things you do. Sent you for today, and they sent you for tomorrow. Sent you for every time and everywhere you go. We love you so, and we enjoy life with you. We are happy, happy, happy to know that we will go with you. That's why we say thank you, thank you, thank you, yeah. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you for choosing MTN. Use MTN Mobile Money, bundles or other services to get Thank You points. The more you use, the more Thank You points you get. We look forward to many more years together. Thank you.
Right from the entrance, it exudes that aura that commands intense concentration, serenity and sobriety. It is the gateway into Uganda Virus Research Institute, Entebbe, one of Uganda's top scientific research facilities. The colonial architecture attests to its roots dating back in 1936 when the facility was established, initially to conduct research on yellow fever. Over the years, Uganda Virus Research Institute carried out research majoring in many viral-focused fields that have yielded vital results.
There are many viruses, more than 28 new viruses were first discovered here. So over time, and most of the work was done by international scientists who are coming from abroad, mostly USA and Europe, especially Britain. In the 1950s, it expanded. WHO also came in the 50s and 60s to work on the immunizable diseases, and later in the 60s also to work on cancer-causing viruses. In the 50s, it became the East African Virus Research Institute.
And since 1986, government committed resources to revamp and redevelop the infrastructure of this institution that had already become globally renowned for pioneering research.
Like many other institutions in Uganda, the institute here suffered a lot when we had political instability. As I've mentioned earlier, the institute was growing. It was working on viruses. It started working on immunizable diseases like polio, working with WHO. It had started working on viruses that cause cancer, working with a number of other organizations like the cancer. The common one was the Buck's lymphoma that affects children with the jaw. So there were scientists who were working at that. So a lot of work was going on. But during the instability of the 1970s, and as the expansion had gone on even in other fields, but during the instability, a lot of the work was stopped or came to a decline. And many of our scientists left the country because of the instability. And the institute also lost a lot of precious specimens that stored over a period of time. I have a colleague here, one of those who happened to remain around. They were moving specimens from one place to another. They were hiding people. So the 70s and the early 80s were very difficult times for the institute in terms of it lost a lot of its activities, its funding, and its staff.
The 1980s were years Uganda was grappling with an HIV/AIDS scourge, while its infrastructure was in shambles. Little was known about the cause of AIDS. For instance, it was unknown that HIV was sexually transmitted, and there was hardly any information on how the disease progresses from an infection to full-blown AIDS. The Uganda Virus Institute became an international hub in that frenzied search for knowledge about the new disease. Studies about the disease's natural history, which have guided how it could be managed and controlled, were done here.
The emergency of HIV/AIDS. That was a difficult time for the country and Africa generally, because a new disease had come on. It was realized this new disease, HIV/AIDS, was caused by a virus. So the government, working through international partners, AIDS control program, and others, Minister of Health, recognized that the Uganda Virus Research Institute will play an important role in understanding this new disease and its management. So in the mid-80s, when the AIDS control program was set up, when we started getting many international partners, good enough, the government of Uganda was very open about HIV/AIDS, so many people came in. The institute was identified to play a reference role as the reference lab for HIV, diagnostics, testing, but also to get involved in a number of research activities.
Research on HIV is still a major area of